Assalamu alaikum, this is Nabila Sigdatama welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the top stories. Nation awaiting for results of 13th national parliamentary polls and referendum as voting ends smoothly. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus greet countrymen for holding a peaceful and festive election and referendum. New democracy to emerge through the election, says Tariq Rahman. Dr. Shafiqur Rahman urges political parties to accept the result. No more rigged elections in future, says Chief Election Commissioner. An Office of Returning Officer ready to announce results as voting ends in festive mood in Chattogram. Viewers, those were the top stories. Now moving on to the details. The counting of the vote is now underway across the country, including all 1,965 polling centres in the 16 parliamentary constituencies of Chattogram following the official conclusion of polling. Polling agents and local officials have termed the day as festive and largely peaceful. Polling agents from all major candidates, presiding officers and election officials are currently overseeing the counting process to ensure transparency. As voters cast two separate ballots, a white ballot for the parliamentary candidate and a pink ballot for the National Charter 2025 referendum, officials are conducting the counts separately at each station. A massive security blanket remains in place as thousands of personnel from the Bangladesh Army, Navy, Police, RAB, BGP and Ansar are stationed at and around the counting centres. Outside the polling centres, crowd of eager citizens have gathered waiting for the first unofficial result while counting is expected to continue through the night. The Chief Advisor, Professor Muhammad Yunus, extended his heartfelt congratulations and gratitude to the entire nation as the voting of the 13th National Parliamentary election and the referendum concluded in a peaceful, orderly and festive environment. The Chief Advisor said, through exercising their constitutional rights, the citizens have played an active role in determining the country's future. Professor Yunus extended special thanks to the Election Commission, the law enforcement agencies, the armed forces, the administration, observer teams, media personnel, and all officers and staffs involved in the voting process. The advisor called upon political parties and candidates to uphold democratic decency, tolerance, and mutual respect even after the final results are announced. He said, this election is a moment of great joy and celebration. Through it, an unprecedented journey of a new Bangladesh has begun. The Chief Advisor urges countrymen to work together in this journey to strengthen democracy. Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus cast his vote at Gulshan Modern School and College Polling Centre this morning. Professor Yunus exercised his franchise in the 13th parliamentary election and the referendum on the July National Charter. After casting vote, Chief Advisor Professor Muhammad Yunus described the ongoing general election and the referendum as a historic opportunity to build a new Bangladesh, calling the day one of the greatest joy and a moment of liberation for the nation. To the process that began today, we have completely boycotted the past. The Chief Advisor, Professor Mohammed Yunus, visited 2 polling centers to observe the overall election situation after the casting his vote. Later, Chief Advisor Professor Mohammed Yunus visited Badda High School Polling Center and the SOS Harman Minar College Polling Center in Mirpur to assess the voting environment. During the visit, Professor Yunus interacted with the voters and the election officials on duty, inquiring about the polling process and the overall arrangement. Besides, Chief Advisor Professor Mohammed Yunus closely monitored the nationwide voting process from the police headquarters control room in the capital. During the monitoring, Home Affairs Advisor Lieutenant General retired Mohammad Jahangir Alam Chaudhry and Inspector General of Police Baharul Alam were also present. The Chief Advisor observed the overall voting situation from a temporary monitoring facility set up at the State Guest House, Jomna. BNP Chairperson Tariq Rahman has expressed hope that voters' participation in the election will mark the beginning of a new democracy in Bangladesh. After casting his vote in the morning, he expressed optimism about the victory of the party's electoral symbol, Dhanir Sheesh. He said this after casting his vote this morning. Tight security was in place at Gulshan Model High School and College. The center was crowded with local and foreign journalists, and election observers were also present. Tariq Rahman arrived at the polling station around 9:30 a.m. accompanied by his wife Zubaida Rahman and daughter Zaima Rahman. Previously, in the 2001 election, Tariq Rahman had cast his vote in the Adamji Cantonment College as he was living in a residence inside the cantonment at the time. Due to a change of address, he is now a voter in Gulshan. The BNP chairperson expressed satisfaction at being able to vote after a long time. At his polling station, agents of various symbols, including Daripalla, carried out their duties without obstruction. Voters also said they were able to cast their votes comfortably. The BNP stated that voting was taking place peacefully across the country. The party called on all political parties to act responsibly in accepting the election results. Mizanur Rahman, the presiding officer of the Gulshan Modern School Polling Center, said the voting was being conducted in a pleasant environment. Jamaat-e-Islam Amir Dr. Shafiqur Rahman has said that after a long wait, voters have finally had the opportunity to cast their ballots, marking the beginning of a new chapter. He made these remarks to the journalists today after casting his votes at the Monipur High School polling center in Mirpur 2 area of the capital. Regardless of the outcome, the Jamaat-e-Islam Amir called on all political parties to accept the election results. Chief Election Commissioner A.M. Nasiruddin has said that Bangladesh has boarded the train of democratization, reaffirming the Election Commission's firm stance to ensure a free, impartial election. Speaking to reporters after casting his vote in morning, the CEC declared that there would be no more stage-managed elections in the country. The history of orchestrated election must be forgotten. There is no scope for irregularities or manipulation, he asserted. Meanwhile, Election Commissioner, retired Brigadier General Abul Fazl Muhammad Sanaullah also made it clear that there would be zero tolerance for any misconduct. He warned that no one would be spared if attempts were made to buy or sell votes. Sanaullah emphasized that a free and credible election would further strengthen the country's democratic foundation and set a positive example for future generations. As the dawn broke, a different atmosphere filled the sky of Chattogram. The clock struck exactly 7:30 a.m. The polling station opened for the voters in the constituencies of Chattogram. After a long waiting, they were choosing their future representatives for the parliament. The number of men, women, and elderly voters at the polling station was remarkable. As the day progressed, the number of voters at the polling stations increased. Many women came to the polling stations early in the morning after finishing their household chores. After casting their votes, they expressed their feeling. Many also talked about the difference between the environment of the previous polling stations and that of the present ones. They also expressed their expectations about the candidates. No untoward incident was reported anywhere during the voting. All the constituencies were covered in a tight security blanket. This election atmosphere in Chattogram is not just a picture of one region, but a reflection of the democratic aspiration of the entire country. After a long waiting, voters rushed to the polling stations with enthusiasm, ignoring the foggy morning in Chattogram as elsewhere in the country today. A festive atmosphere is prevailing in Chattogram, centering national parliament election and referendum. The notable point of this year's election is the number of women and young voters. About 4 crore 90 lakh young voters are playing key role in determining the results of this election. The presence of young people, especially those who voted for the first time, was mentionable. No untoward incident have been reported anywhere. Rather, a unique example of harmony was seen at the polling stations. After the mass uprising of July-August in 2024, a new spirit of state formation is working among the youth. They are no longer just voters. They themselves want to see themselves as policy makers. Everyone hopes that this festive atmosphere of the parliamentary election will mark the beginning of a new stable Bangladesh by keeping the triumphant journey of the democracy alive. Voting was held in a peaceful atmosphere as the law enforcement agencies were keeping a close watch on the election in Chattogram. Voters were able to vote for their preferred candidates without any intimidation. They were just as excited to vote in a peaceful and festive atmosphere as the candidates were. The city's polling stations became a festive with the presence of the voters from the morning. Voters stood in line and voted for their preferred candidates. They expressed their excitement at being able to vote in an orderly environment after many years. There were no allegations of rigging or manipulation. About 40,000 members of various forces including Army, BGP, police and Ansar were deployed in the 16 constituencies in Chattogram to maintain law and order. Officials on duty at the polling station said that the 13th National Parliament election were held in fair, normal law and order situation and peacefully.